Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Samadhapti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Mo Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai New Dwarka Dham Ki Jai Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to His confounder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru Gora and Gauranga. We're waiting for our speaker. Once it comes on, we'll start the class. Meanwhile, maybe I'll have to play some bhajan while we wait for him.
The speaker is getting ready to be here soon.
So let me go like them.
If you play a bhajan, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, obeisances, Dasha Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Madam Gopal Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, my apologies. I got caught at work, but and then Sadhya Prabhu kindly reminded me. So,
Sadhya Prabhu also has some issues with his network. So I'll give you host. I guess you will be sharing the screen.
Well, if someone can share the, maybe I
can do that.
If you can share the verse, if you can share the verse and purport, I'll just speak from there. Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I'll put the verse on the screen and you can take it over, Prabhuji.
Yes, sounds good. Yes, thank you. So I'll get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, verse number 56. Let's see.
Oh, sorry. Just a minute. Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam 321, verse 56. So sorry, we had some technical glitches today, so
No worries. Well, maybe I could just share my.
Hey,
Let me see if I can share just my screen. Might be okay. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. It's no problem. I got it as well. Okay.
okay, okay, you are sharing already.
Yeah, I just got it as well. So no
Okay,
problem.
okay, okay. So I'll stop mine so that it doesn't disrupt yours.
Yes, yes. This is the verse. This is the final verse of this chapter. It's a very interesting point on this one. So I'll just read the verse. Athapi priche tvam vira yadartham tvam ihagata tadvayam nirvyalikena pratipadyamahe hrida. The word for word. Atha api, in spite of all this, priche, I ask, tvam, you, vira, O valiant king. Let me see, maybe we could mute everyone. Yadartham, the purpose. Tvam, you. Iha, here. Agata, have come. Tat, that. Vayam, we. Nirvyalikena, without reservation. Padipadyamahe, we shall carry out. Hrida, with heart and soul. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In spite of all this, I ask you, O valiant King, the purpose for which you have come. Whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation. Purport. When a guest comes to a friend's house, it is understood that there is some special purpose. Kardam Muni could understand that such a great king as Swayambhuva, although traveling to inspect the condition of his kingdom, must have had some special purpose to come to his hermitage. Thus he prepared himself to fulfill the king's desire. Formerly, it was customary that the sages used to go to the kings and the kings used to visit the sages in their hermitages. Each was glad to fulfill the other's purpose. This reciprocal relationship is called Bhakti Karya. There is a nice verse describing the relationship of mutual beneficial interest between the Brahmana and the Kshatriya. Kshatram Dvijatvam. Kshatram means the royal order, and Dvijatvam means the Brahminical order. The two were meant for mutual interest. The royal order would give protection to the Brahmanas for the cultivation of spiritual advancement in society, and the Brahmanas would give their valuable instruction to the royal order on how the state and the citizens can gradually be elevated in spiritual perfection. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 21st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Conversation between Manu and Kardama. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshamitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. I offer my obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas and seek your blessings. So thank you for joining this Bhagavatam reading. This is a very interesting point and a very important point that we need to understand. The verse appears very simple. You have Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni is a great Muni. He's a great thinker, a great sage. And he's receiving this king, Swayambhuva Manu. Manu is the emperor of the whole world, really. And then, of course, the Muni, Kardama Muni says, please tell me why you have come. Whatever your purpose is, we are prepared to fulfill it. Now, Srila Prabhupada, he explains, he draws from this very simple exchange an entire philosophy of spiritual civilization. He introduces this principle that he mentions, Bhakti Karya. Karya means something to get done. He calls it reciprocal service. The king serves the sage serves the king. The Brahmana the thinker, the intellectual person needs the Kshatriya. Kshatriya means the protector class, those who bear arms, those who know how to use their weapons and so on, and those who do the right thing, they're heroes. They believe in this heroism. So Brahmana needs the Kshatriya, and the Kshatriya needs the Brahmana. Neither are saying, I am more important, therefore you should serve me. Each is asking, what can I do to help fulfill your service to Krishna? That's something for us to reflect on. And perhaps the most striking words in this verse are this thing, nirvyalikena pratipadyamahe hrida. Right? See, pratipadyamahe hrida, nirvyalikena. That we shall carry it out without reservation, with our heart and soul. We'll do it without hesitating. We won't hesitate. In other words, you tell me what to do, I will do it. That's amazing. This confidence that no matter what it is, I'm here to serve you. You tell me to jump, I'll ask you how high. It's a very beautiful way. Of course, it may sound that, he's just buttering him up. He doesn't really mean it. No. When the sages and the kings of that caliber speak, they mean it. And when we give our word, we should mean it too. Not that, you're my friend, I'll give you my life. You tell me to jump in the well, I'll jump in the well for you, I'll die for you. Prabhu, can you just help me lift this, one bag? No, maybe tomorrow. So, small things we don't want to do, but we'll give big words. Hey, I'll jump in the well, I'll die for you. No. We have to do something, we have to serve. So for progressive devotees, we can explore this verse from a few angles. There's 4 key ideas here in the purport and in the verse. One is that service is key. We want to move from a mindset of entitlement to a mindset of service. Mindset of entitlement means you owe me this, the world owes me this, I deserve this, I desire this, I need to. No. Service, how can I give? How can I serve? It's a completely flipping the script. So we have to move from entitlement to a sense of service. As devotees, the more we move in that direction, the more happy, believe it or not, we'll be. We tend to think the other way. If I get served, I'll be happier. But it's the other way around. When you serve, you're better off because you're more in line with your actual, natural, constitutional position. Second point, this notion of bhakti karya. What is bhakti karya? It's a spiritual relationships. They are reciprocal. It's not a one-way street. No relationship is a one-way street. We are always reciprocating. And spiritual relationships are not an exception. That's an important point we'll explore. So first point is moving to service from entitlement. The second is bhakti karya, the reciprocal nature. Third is this Brahmana and Kshatriya principle and healthy leadership. This understanding why they need each other. We'll explore that a little bit. And then the fourth point is they said, I'll do with my heart and soul. What does it mean? What does it mean to serve with heart and soul? That's how Prabhupada translates. So let's explore that. So point number 1, Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni is great. He has nothing to prove. First, consider who is Kardama Muni. He is not some insecure person looking for a job, seeking some kind of validation from an important visit. Oh, he's come, let me prove my point. No, he doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. He's very accomplished. He has performed extraordinary austerities, and with his austerities he can build a kingdom bigger than this king's. He doesn't care for anybody's approval. He has directly received the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord personally revealed to him. He told Kardama Muni, hey, Swayambhu Manu is going to come with his daughter Devahuti. So Kardama already knows something extraordinary is unfolding, the Lord's plan. Lord has told him so. It's happening on schedule, you see. So Kadam has nothing, he has no insecurities. He's not a poor guy who needs to prove something to somebody so he gets a job in the king's cabinet. It's not like that. You see. Yet, when Manu arrives, Kardama does not behave as though, the king should be impressed by him. Don't try to show off. See, this is one of the symptoms of a genuinely spiritually advanced soul. They don't try to show off. Show off is a kind of insecurity. Look at me, how much I know. Look at me, how much I'm doing austerity. No, they don't show off. The greater a devotee becomes, the less obsessed he becomes with establishing his own greatness. In our material consciousness, what do you think? We think, do they recognize me? Do they know who I am? Do they respect my position? These are the different things that people who are insecure, they're constantly doing. Now, from the bhakti angle, a bhakta, what do they ask? How may I serve you? You've come for some purpose. What is that purpose? How can I support your purpose? That is Kardama Muni. Now, hey, why didn't you ask me? Don't they understand how much I've done? Why don't they come to me? I'm the authority. No. How may I serve you? So the paradox of spiritual advancement is that the more a devotee is advanced, right, the more they want to serve and the less they want to show off. So that is counterintuitive, and yet it also makes a lot of sense. Now, a devotee possesses Krishna in the heart, like they've made a great deal of advancement. They feel Krishna's presence at every moment in the heart. They don't need every room that they're in to revolve on them. I don't need people I don't need to be the center of attention for the room. This becomes especially relevant for devotees who become what we call senior devotees. Senior devotee means I've been in the movement for so many years. I'm a senior devotee. You should recognize I've been doing this for 7 years. Don't you know who I am? Oh, I've been doing for 10 years, 12 years. After decades of devotional service, we naturally accumulate something. Devotees, we accumulate a record. We accumulate years of service. You accumulate knowledge. You accumulate relationships, positions, experiences, followers, fan clubs, accomplishment. You have a institutional history, so on. And then what happens, right? Without realizing it, the service can gradually become one's identity. And that identity can become basically our ego, false ego. And it becomes a sense of entitlement. I have served for 40 years. I built this. I was here before them. I know Srila Prabhupada's movement. Now all of these may be factually correct. But the Bhagavatam is bringing us back to this consciousness of Kardama Muni. What is he saying? How may I serve? See, Kardama Muni could have said, don't you know? No, he said, how may I serve? It's not merely when we are 25 years old and enthusiastic, but even when we are 75. How may I serve? And not merely we are serving when nobody knows us, but especially important to serve when everybody knows us. How may I serve? This is advanced culture, advanced Vaishnava culture. This is Kardama Muni teaching us, The second point, and this is something I was really reflecting on when I read this. This is what nirvyalikena, that's in this verse. Now, Prabhupada translates this nirvyalikena as without reservation. Means no hesitation at all. No conditions also. Tell me, I'll do it. It's done. It's as good as done. This is a powerful phrase. It's a level of commitment that it's like an unparalleled level of commitment. You know, we frequently serve Krishna with reservations. Naturally, I will serve as long as I'm appreciated. I will serve provided my idea is accepted. If my idea is not accepted, I'm not going to serve anymore. I will cooperate provided the other person appreciates me a lot. Then I'll cooperate. Or if the other person chooses first, he will cooperate, then I'll cooperate. So we put conditions. I will support the project as long as I have a meaningful title. If I don't have a title, I don't want to serve. Or I will serve, but not under this one. That one, no. I will serve, but don't ask me to do this thing. Okay, don't ask me to, bow down. I'll serve Krishna, but Krishna must first arrange things, according to my expectations. So yes, actually, most of us were conditioned. We all tend to have this little bit, in our understanding. And sometimes it's not functional to work with somebody, and that's also true. But you can see here the attitude that is being shown or exemplified by Kardam Muni is no fine print. See, generally we offer bhakti with fine print. And we have good reasons. Sometimes we've been burnt also, so we put our limits on that. But Kardam Muni says, I don't care. Works out, doesn't work out. No fine print. Unreserved. No asterisk. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. It needs to be done. You tell me how I want to serve. So Kardam Muni says, Nirvyalikena, no hidden agenda, no political calculations. Also, you'll notice he's not doing any bargaining. No like internal bargaining. Like, what will I receive if I do this? What's in it for me? That part is not there also. Without reservation, without condition, without any kind of expectation, without entitlement. I'm not saying this is now we must all immediately take up this without seeing. No. This is high standard to be there, but at least we can realize this is where we want to go toward. We may not be ready for it. It takes a certain purity and mindset to really move toward that, but at least we can understand. Then this other word, Hrida. Nirvyalikena and Hrida. Hrida means the heart. Hridaya means heart. So it's a with heart. Why did he include this word with heart? This is important because, see, I can do a service technically correctly, but it may not necessarily be with my heart and with my feeling wholeheartedly. See? Technically correct service is not necessarily wholehearted service. We can chant 16 rounds without our heart, without engaging our deep felt obeisances to the Lord in our heart. Do we do that? All 16 rounds. We can do it without offering any obeisance. We can do it without offering any feeling. We can do it completely robotically. In fact, that's one of our challenges as we progress in Krishna. How do I come out of this roboticness? We can chant 16 rounds without our heart. We can perform puja without a heart. When I say without a heart, of course the heart is beating and pumping the blood. That's not what I mean. I mean heartfelt feelings. Hrida. We can manage a temple without a heart. Completely possible. In fact, many devotees will nod their head when I say this. Yeah, I know of a temple which is being managed very heartlessly. Completely heartlessly. No feelings. It's possible. Not only is it possible, it's likely. Not only is it likely, it's actually common. Because we are in Kali Yuga, and this is our nature. Our nature is moving toward heartlessness. We have to work hard to bring our heart in it. We have to work hard to be empathic. You know? We can give classes without our heart. Completely possible. We can memorize all the verses, recite them very clearly, and our heart is not in it. We can preach even about surrender. Stand on the street corner and thump the Gita, thump and preach loudly about surrender to the Lord without heart. Completely, it's possible. We can do it without heart, without engaging heartfelt feelings. That's why Kadamuni is saying Hrida. So Krishna consciousness ultimately asks us, where is your heart? Where is your attention? Where is your focus? Where is your feeling? Where is your emotion? Where is your heart? The external activity matters greatly, but bhakti is ultimately the offering of our consciousness. Krishna says in the Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Think of me, become my devotee. Right? Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Your mind absorb in me. Rup Goswami describes pure devotional service. This is a very famous verse from the Nectar of Devotion. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. The favorable cultivation of service to Krishna. Not just the activity. The heart of bhakti is not simply the activity. The activity is the vehicle through which we can present our love to the Lord. The gift is the love. The gift is not the activity. If you want to offer a plate of fruits to Krishna, the plate is not the actual thing, the gift, that it's the fruits. But when we do something, we have an activity, but the heart is not there. It's like giving an empty plate of fruits. Krishna, here's a plate of strawberries. Where are the strawberries? No, it's the plate though. I did the plate I've given you. Suppose there's strawberries in, but doesn't have strawberries. Sorry, just accept the plate. Well, okay. But if my heart is not there, what is there to offer? Krishna is like, I have plenty of strawberries at home. You call me for strawberries, not giving me anything. You're calling me, engage me in the service. When you chant Hare Krishna, my Lord, engage me in your service. But then the service, the chanting, the calling, I'm doing without heart. It's like inviting Krishna for strawberries and then you're giving an empty plate. So the heart of bhakti is not simply activity. It is favorable intention offered through activity. Everything, including every circle of puja, offer the incense and the diya and the fan. Every movement has to be infused and saturated with our heartfelt feelings. My Lord, please accept this. Please accept my love, my affection. Or please accept my prayer that I have no affection, and please now infuse this activity with affection. Because my heart is so dry. My Lord, please help me out. That's also a heartfelt prayer. And paradoxically, that fills your heart with affection because you're asking for affection. So, Hrida. The 2 points here are Nirvyalikena, means without hesitation, without reservation, without any bargaining, and Hrida, with heartfelt feeling, you engage it. Then, in the purport, this is point number 3, Srila Prabhupada, he introduces an interesting expression in this purport. He says, Bhakti Karya. This is not in the verse, it's in the purport. What is this Bhakti Karya? He is describing the relationship between the king and the sage as one of mutual beneficial interest. Now, we should not misunderstand mutual interest in a material way. This is not a business transaction. Generally, let's get together and we discuss mutual interest. It's not a networking event so that I increase my career, you increase your profits or something like that. No. You help me, I help you. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. That is transaction. That is not bhakti karya. Then when Prabhupada says mutual interest, what does he mean? Bhakti karya means your service to Krishna matters to me. That's important. This is a profound definition of Vaishnava relationship. My affection for you, my love for you is not merely because you satisfy my emotional needs. I don't merely associate with you because you agree with me. I don't merely value you because you're useful to my project. I value your relationship with Krishna. I value your relationship with Krishna. Therefore, in my power, whatever's in my power, I want to help you succeed spiritually in your spiritual progress. That is the attitude of a devotee. Just give me a second. Respond. Imagine if every devotee entered the temple or the community thinking like this: whose bhakti can I strengthen today? Look around. Whose bhakti can I bolster? Whose bhakti can I give encouragement to? See, this word hrida. Hrida means heartfelt, right? If you look at the word encouragement, the word encourage comes from Greek kouros. Kouros means heart. Encourage means to give heart, to make someone's heart stronger with my own heart, you see. So hrida. But now this bhakti karya is what? I want to contribute to this spiritual community by asking, whose bhakti can I strengthen today? Imagine if every leader entered a meeting thinking, how can I help these devotees become more empowered in their service? That should be every leader's first question in the morning and the last question before they sleep. How can I help devotees be more empowered? And if they're struggling, how can I help them? And how can I help? I will give encouragement. And especially the ones who we think are, difficult devotees. And devotees who are quote unquote difficult actually need more attention, more help. In the sense that, if I'm having a hard time understanding their motivations or the way they do things, I need to spend extra time to feel their pain. Imagine if every disciple thought, how can I lighten the burden of the Vaishnavas and the Guru? And every Guru and every senior devotee thought, how can I help this person discover the service through which their devotion can flourish? Then what happens? The institution becomes an ecosystem of bhakti rather than a competition for spiritual territory, which inevitably happens because, a lot of times we bring our baggage, our insecurities into community, spiritual community, and we start exercising it, but now we're using devotee language to exercise it. This competition for territory. It's unfortunate, but that's why we discuss these things. We bring them up, we read the Bhagavatam to be inspired by devotees like Kardam Muni. Just this one verse gives us so much insight if we take each word apart. Nirvyalikena hrida. And then Prabhupada expands on it so beautifully in the purport. So this is what Prabhupada is describing when he talks about bhakti karya. So that's the third point. The fourth point, which an interesting inference can be made here. You see, Vedic society was hierarchical. certain groups are considered, in one sense, higher or lower. In one sense, it's considered that way. But it's not merely top-down kind of hierarchy. That's what we learn here in this exchange. You see, the Brahmanas as considered the top, and then you have Kshatriyas, Vaishya, right? So you have some sense of hierarchy that they get most respect, and then that sort of thing. But you see in this exchange what's happening. Kardam Muni is saying, how can I serve you? Not that, oh, king, you came here. Well, let me tell you how you can serve me. No. How can I serve you? Even though he's a Brahmana and the king is a Kshatriya. You see. So this is an important angle. The Vedic society was not merely top-down, even though the hierarchy is there. There is a reciprocal dependence. You see. I just came back from a conference of ISKCON leaders last weekend, and we had a 2-hour presentation by Urmila Mataji, who talks about career dharma, and she talks about the 4 different kinds of career types, roughly around this Brahmana, Kshatriya, etc. But she explained it's not hierarchical. It's a mutual reciprocal dependence. They all need each other. What is the dependence? The king possesses spiritual knowledge, detachment. Not detachment, attachment to the strength. The king possesses military strength. The king possesses the wealth. The king is supposed to have spiritual knowledge, which was given by the Brahmana. But their main strength is what? The administrative machinery, the political authority. The Brahmana is the one who's going to give spiritual knowledge. The Brahmana teaches the king from going from attachment to detachment. So the Brahmana is naturally detached. That's why Brahmanas tend to be poor. Brahmanas generally are not rich, because even if they get... Brahmanas are non-profit organizations, stand alone. Because they don't keep profits. In this country, if you register non-profit, you're not supposed to keep tons of money. You're supposed to use it for certain things. You just use it for the good cause that you're representing. So similarly, Brahmanas are non-profit organizations. They possess knowledge, but they're detached. That's why they don't have big bank accounts. But they have the moral authority. You see? That's why they're respected. Now the king did not say, hey, I control the resources, I control the military, I have the nuclear football. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say, therefore the Brahmana should tell me what I want to hear. No. Because the Brahmana is independent, the Brahmana can tell the king what he needs to hear. The Brahmana also didn't say, hey, I possess spiritual knowledge, therefore I have no responsibility toward the practical functioning of society. He didn't say that either. They work very closely hand in hand for the mutual upliftment of society. See? Each has something that the other one needs. The Prabhupada says in the purport, the two were meant for mutual interest. Now this is, for ISKCON leadership, this has implications, enormous implications. Our movement also contains different kinds of spiritual capital. One devotee has shastric depth. Another devotee has administrative competence, expertise, experience. Another devotee understands people really well. Another one is just really good at raising funds, where they put their finger, they just know how to raise so much money. Another understands communications. Another has very good sensitivity to giving care, devotee care to others. Another is good at organizing festivals. Another one can really reach out to the young people, understand them, get in touch with their needs, interests, and concerns. Another may have decades of institutional memory, and you have another one who understands technology really well. If someone maybe someone else will be a powerful preacher. The mistake occurs when one form of service, or one form of expertise, or one person who is expert in something begins to imagine that because this is important, therefore it's the complete picture, it's everything. I am everything. No. Neither Swayambhu Manu nor Kardama Muni think that way. They know their place. They don't think like that. I'm complete. So what the Bhagavatam is presenting here is an ecology, it's an ecosystem of service. Different Vaishnavas carry different gifts. So when we have a mature leader, they don't merely ask who has authority. They look for this deeper question always. What gifts has Krishna placed in this devotee? And how can those gifts be engaged? See? Now there's another dimension that we learn in this purport, that the Brahmana and the Kshatriya, they must correct each other. The Brahmana-Kshatriya relationship is a system of checks and balances. Why? Because power without wisdom and proper guidance becomes dangerous. But then wisdom, disconnected from responsibility and without having anything to back up its assertions, becomes irrelevant. It's like a poet. Nobody cares for poetry. Just they have to work together. Kshatriya asks the Brahmana, right? What must be done? What must actually be done? I'll do it. And the Brahmana asks, what should be done? These are not always the same question. Subtle difference, big difference. Brahmana answers the question of what should be done. And then Kshatriya is like, what must be actually done now? Management tends toward the practical, pragmatism. We have a problem, solve it. The Brahmana asks a deeper question. Yes, solve it, but according to which principles? Which principles are we employing? What framework are we going to use to justify our approach in solving this issue? Management asks, how quickly can we grow? But Brahmana culture asks, what are we becoming while we grow? At what expense? At what cost? We need to grow. This person is difficult, throw them out. This person, they're giving a lot of donation, keep them in. No. What are we becoming? Are we chewing up people because we're good managers? No. Management will ask, how many people attended? The Brahmana asks, were their hearts transformed? Or are you just looking at numbers of people in your clicker of how many people came? The management will ask, did we raise the money? We need to raise so much money. But the deeper thinking Brahmana asks what? What do they ask? Hey, how was the money raised? From whom? For what purpose? What consciousness did that fundraising activity cultivate? You see? Ultimately, the manager is always thinking, can we do this? And the Brahmana should think, should we do this? Because you see, there's always repercussions, unintended consequences. That's why a healthy spiritual institution needs both. You need the Brahmanical insight, but you do need the executive pragmatism of the management of the Kshatriya. We don't want to create a false dichotomy where the administrators are considered less spiritual and the contemplative devotees, the Brahmanas, they're considered impractical. We don't want that. We don't want to divorce that. We want to make sure there's a synergy between them. So Krishna needs both. But each must respect the function of the other. That's where a healthy society becomes strong. But if either side becomes corrupted, then what happens? What happens when the Kshatriya function becomes disconnected from the Brahmanas? The power becomes circular, like self-referential. Institution begins protecting itself instead of the mission. Numbers become more important than people. Projects become more important than people. Loyalty becomes more valuable than truth. Criticism is seen as threatening. Administration becomes control. That's one danger. But what happens when the Brahmana becomes dependent on power? That's the other end of the spectrum. So instead of speaking truth to authority, he begins speaking for authority, becomes corrupted by that. Then the Brahmana uses their sophisticated spiritual language to become a means to legitimize what the institution has already decided. That's also dangerous. Brahmana has to remain independent. They have to remain sufficiently detached to tell the king, Maharaj, this is not dharma. This is not right. The whole approach is unacceptable. And the genuine Kshatriya has to have enough humility to hear this and bow down, because that Brahmana has spoken the truth from the scriptures. That's why the relationship has to be reciprocal. They cooperate precisely because their functions are distinct. So we need administrators who value Shastric and ethical reflection. And we need teachers and Brahmanas who understand the complexity and the burdens that the administrators carry. You see, it's easy to criticize the leadership when we have no responsibility for budgets and buildings and employees and legal problems, right? But it's also very easy for leaders carrying those burdens to become impatient with those who have principles, voice the principles. So bhakti karya means come together. Now we see Swayambhuva Manu, he goes to Kardama Muni. Notice something, it's very beautiful. Who goes to whom? The king is going to the hut of the sage. Imagine this scene. Swayambhuva is not some local official, he's the emperor. He travels to Kardama's hut, his hermitage. Why? He didn't summon Kardama Muni, that send a soldier, call him to my office. No. This is leadership. A great leader knows my authority does not eliminate my need for guidance from the Brahmanas. So that's another great danger of leadership is insulation. People sometimes who get more power, they insulate themselves from guidance. Honest feedback can decrease. People begin filtering information. They tell the leader what they think the leader wants to hear. And then the leader eventually gets surrounded by yes men, isolated from reality. We see this happen all over the world. Manu's example is the opposite. The king says, no, I don't hear any of my yes men. You guys sit down. I personally go to the hut of the sage and I'm going to talk to him directly. Leaders need people around them who have nothing to gain by flattering them. And if we find ourselves in a position of leadership, find the person who has nothing to gain and hear from them. That's a gift. That's what Swayambhuva Manu is teaching us. See? But also Kardama Muni respects the king. That's also beautiful. He calls him Veera, O valiant king. There's respect. That's also significant. Because they're doing seva together. Manu's governance is seva. Protecting citizens is seva. Creating social order is seva. So Kardama Muni is honoring his seva. So the question, I'm going to end here, is there's a subtle progression in devotional life. In the beginning, we often ask, what can Krishna consciousness do for me? What's in it for me? It gives me peace. It gives me community. It gives me philosophy. I understand the world. It gives me purpose. But it's still about me. Then we mature and we ask, what can I do for Krishna? And then maybe there's even a deeper question. What is Krishna trying to accomplish through the devotees around me, through my circumstances? And how can I assist Krishna's mission? This is Kardama Muni's mood. So Swayambhuva has arrived. Kardama Muni doesn't immediately impose his own agenda on the king. He asks, Yadartham tvam ihagata. For what purpose have you come? Before we jump into service, listen, ask. Sometimes we're so eager to serve people that we never actually ask them what they need. We think we already know what they need. Sometimes hear someone's, Usually we preach before we listen. I've had that experience where someone just starts, I'm on the street, a devotee enthusiast, he starts preaching to me. Just assumes he knows what my points are. It's better to just have a normal conversation, ask, get a sense, why have you come? There's humility in that question. I'm not going to make an assumption that I know what you're here for. That's how you want to preach. Why have you come? What questions are you carrying? What hurts? What do you understand God to be? What are you afraid of? What are you hoping spiritual life might give you? Then, if you ask it empathically, we can actually serve. See? So we can apply this to devotee care. So this is our nirvyalikena question. Whose bhakti am I helping? Not simply what service am I doing, but how can I help? So I'll pause here. My apologies that I didn't prepare. I somehow didn't have this on my calendar, and when Sadhya Prabhu reminded me, I'm like, oh goodness. So I just kind of read the verse and shared my stream of my mind. But thank you for this opportunity. I do need to leave sharp at 12 o'clock, so that's only gives us about 3 minutes or so. But Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So I didn't have any slides. Usually I like to prepare some slides, but I don't know.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji. We're very grateful that you could be here and speak the way you spoke. Most of us do not believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But very seldomly, we actually experience that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But today, I did experience that because no doubt you spoke, but I strongly believe that Shri Krishna spoke through you because I had a series of questions, and this single kata has answered all those questions I had. And it's given me so much hope that, yes, ISKCON has a bright future. No matter what challenges we're facing or we may be facing, ISKCON has a bright future. So thank you so much for sharing. And you do not have much time you have to leave. But I was wondering, giving mutual respect as explained in the verse, the puppet, and your sharing, I'm wondering, why did Lord Balaram have to kill Ramaharshan Sutta? Because he was sitting on the Vyasasan, and everybody offered obeisances, respectful obeisances to him, but Ramaharshan didn't. And my understanding is that if someone is sitting on the Vyasasan, he's given the utmost respect. So he doesn't have to get off the Vyasasana to offer obeisances. So I'm wondering, why did Lord Balaram have to kill Ramaharshan Sutta with that kushagrass? Because he did not get off the Vyasasana to offer respects. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Now, normally, this is not an issue. I mean, if somebody is giving already on the Vyasasana, doesn't get up to respect, it's not normally an issue. And like you said, it is disturbing. The sages themselves, by the way, were disturbed by Balaram's action. If you read, they were disturbed by his action. So even they were a little confused. So your confusion is very, it's not, you're among the sages to be confused. So don't feel bad that, hey, because the sages also like, hey, what is this? They explained that the sages had authorized Ramaharshan to remain seated. Once you're seated, you stay seated. And they granted him longevity. May he live long. That obviously didn't last very long. Therefore, now, although Balaram is the Supreme Lord, his action appeared to contradict the sage's arrangement. That's why it's confusing for all of us. He didn't say, hey, do you know who I am? He didn't say that. Do you know what he asked the sages? Do you remember what he asked? He says, I'm sorry, how can I atone? Balaram asked the sages, how can I atone for losing my temper? That's also exemplary, you see. That means he recognized it was wrong, even though he's the Supreme Lord. Hey, don't you know who I am? Just keep your mouth closed and just sit down. He didn't say that. That's astonishing. The Supreme Lord himself demonstrates the respect for the Brahmanas and for the social order. So even this story contains this mutual respect operating in both directions. Sages must respect Balaram because he's the Lord. Ramaharshan had to respect Balaram, but he messed up. So then Balaram lost his, he flipped his lid. And Balaram also honors the sages. So mutual respect does not mean everybody agrees with everybody. It does not mean authority can never correct anybody. It doesn't mean hierarchy. It means the Brahmana respects legitimate authority. It means the rulers respect the Brahmana's authorities. The student respects the teacher, and everyone understands that whatever authority we possess ultimately belongs to Krishna. So that's the leadership lessons for us. The higher the seat, the greater the obligation to demonstrate the qualities represented by the seat. You see. So this some things for us to keep in mind. But I do have to jump off. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Well, devotees,
No, I'm
we're
good.
going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our deepest appreciation to our beloved speaker, His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all. Please, we may all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Vanta kalpata
Vanchakapata
rubhyascha
Vibhascha
kripasindu
Kripa
bhaiva
Sindhubhya Vacha
Titanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
Pavanabhyo
vaishnavibhyo
Vaishnavibhyo
namo
Namo
Vaishnavedyo
Namaha.
Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai,
Hey,
All glories to His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhu ki jai.
Jai,
hey,
All glories to His Holiness Sasarup Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai,
All glories to Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. And all glories to
Jai,
Assembled Vaishnava devotees ki jai. Hare
Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare.
Hare Krishna. Salika Prabhu, are you still there? Let me see. Well, Hare Krishna, devotee, sorry. Salika was the host, and I was expecting him to get off YouTube, but he hasn't. So let's see.